The scream tore through the apartment before I fully processed what I was seeing on my iPad screen. My sister, her dress hitched high on her thighs, her body pressing against my fiancé, was lunging toward him, lips pursed. Then came his voice, firm but panicked. "Olivia, stop!" I said no. My fingers trembled against the cool glass as I hit record, the weight of 3 years of suspicion crystallizing into this single, grotesque moment. From 200 miles away in my hotel room, I watched as Tyler backed away, his hands raised defensively. Olivia's face contorted, no longer the practiced smile she showed our parents, but something feral and entitled. "Why her?" she hissed, gesturing wildly. "She's always been the boring one. Just try me once before you decide." The air in my lungs felt solid as Tyler's back hit our bookshelf, the one we'd assembled together on our first anniversary. He was cornered. I could see the panic in his eyes, the same eyes that had looked at me with such certainty when he'd promised I'd never lose him like I'd lost everyone else. My name is Vanessa. I'm 31 and a marketing director. This is the story of how I finally broke the golden child spell. I'd spent my entire life watching Olivia take whatever she wanted. 3 previous boyfriends had fallen for her practiced vulnerability, her calculated attention. Each time, my parents had shrugged it off. "You should be more like your sister," my mother would say, as if my heartbreak were just another example of my inadequacy. When I met Tyler 5 years ago, the connection was immediate and terrifying. I kept him secret for nearly a year, manufacturing excuses for why he couldn't meet my family. I knew exactly what would happen. Olivia had a type, successful, attractive men who could elevate her carefully curated image, and Tyler checked every box. The inevitable introduction came after a year of dating. I watched Olivia's eyes narrow when she saw him, that familiar predatory assessment I'd witnessed countless times. But something different happened. Tyler stayed firmly by my side, his hand in mine, redirecting Olivia's attempts at conversation back to include me. For weeks afterward, she sent him increasingly suggestive texts. When she escalated to sending a photo of herself in lingerie, I confronted her in our mother's kitchen. If I really wanted him, I'd have him by now. She'd sneered, theatrical tears already forming. Right on cue, my mother asked me to leave, adding the familiar refrain. "He's more your sister's age anyway." Now, 3 years later, watching through my iPad screen, I saw the culmination of Olivia's entitlement. She'd arrived at our apartment unannounced while I was away on business. Tyler had been video calling to show me how he was caring for my bonsai collection when the intercom rang. I told him to keep me on the call, suspicious of the timing. On screen, Olivia lunged forward again. Tyler dodged, his voice rising. "I said no!" He pushed her away. Not hard, just enough to create distance. But she twisted dramatically, throwing herself backward. The sickening crack of our glass coffee table breaking beneath her weight made me gasp. Her screams filled our apartment as Tyler rushed to call an ambulance, his face pale with shock. I sat frozen in my hotel room, the recording still running, knowing exactly what would happen next. It did. Within hours, Olivia claimed Tyler had assaulted her. Her thigh injury, requiring stitches from hip to knee, became evidence of his attack. My parents rallied around her, my father threatening Tyler with destruction, my mother calling me to say I needed to face the truth about that man. But for once, I had actual truth on my side. The recording showed everything: Olivia's advances, Tyler's repeated refusals, the accident caused by her aggression. When I presented it to the police, the narrative collapsed. Tyler's countersuit for assault and defamation succeeded, resulting in a substantial settlement that Olivia was ordered to pay. "He doesn't need the money," my mother had hissed when I answered her call after the court decision. "You've always been jealous of your sister's looks, her success. Now you've ruined her life to get back at her." I'd stared at my mother's name on my phone screen, suddenly seeing clearly the pattern that had defined my life. "No, Mom, you ruined her life by never showing her boundaries, and you nearly ruined mine by teaching me I deserved whatever scraps she left behind." Olivia moved away, unable to face the community that had witnessed her disgrace. My parents blamed me entirely. Their golden child's reputation was shattered, and in their eyes, I had betrayed blood for an outsider. I went from limited contact to almost none. My relationship with Tyler remained strong, though his parents initially viewed me with suspicion. Their son had nearly lost everything because of my family's drama. It took time for them to see that I was nothing like the chaos I came from. Gradually, Tyler's family became mine in all the ways that mattered. His mother invited me for weekly lunch dates. His sister texted me daily. His father taught me to fish on their family's boat, something my own father had only ever done with Olivia. When Tyler proposed last summer, his parents were ecstatic. "We're paying for the wedding," his mother announced. A proper Tuscan celebration for the daughter we never had. The words had made me cry. I didn't tell my parents about the engagement. My aunt and 2 cousins were the only blood relatives I invited to our destination wedding. It should have been simple, a clean break, a new beginning. Then came the texts. Somehow, my mother had gotten my new number. I later learned my cousin had shared it with my grandmother, who was still in contact with my parents despite knowing our situation. The messages started reasonably, asking about my life, suggesting reconciliation. When I didn't respond, they turned venomous. Yesterday, my aunt called to warn me that my mother was posting vicious lies about me on social media, threatening to boycott any family member who attended the sham wedding of my ungrateful daughter. I stared at the wedding invitation on my desk, cream-colored paper with gold foil, Tuscany's rolling hills illustrated in delicate watercolor. The thought of my mother's bitterness reaching into this perfect weekend made my chest tight with something that felt dangerously like hate. But could you truly hate your own parents, even ones who had consistently chosen the child who hurt you? My phone lit up with another text, Tyler's mother. "Just checking the final head count for Friday's welcome dinner, and remember, your dress fitting is tomorrow at 3. I'll bring champagne." I looked at the photo beside my computer, Tyler and me on his parents' boat, both sunburned and laughing. Behind us, his father was making bunny ears over both our heads, while his mother pretended to push us overboard. They weren't perfect, but they were mine now. I blocked my mother's new number without reading her latest message. Then I called my aunt. "They're threatening to show up," she said immediately. "Your father booked flights. My friend at the travel agency saw the confirmation and warned me." "Then we'll have security," I replied, surprised by the steadiness in my voice. "Anyone who couldn't love me when I needed it doesn't get to claim me when I'm happy." 3 weeks later, under a Tuscan sunset, I walked down an aisle lined with olive trees. Tyler waited at the end, flanked by his beaming parents. My aunt and cousins sat in the front row, defiant in their support. The seats where my parents might have been remained deliberately empty, not as a sign of absence, but as a reminder of my choice to prioritize peace. Sometimes the family you're born into teaches you exactly what you don't want. And sometimes, if you're very lucky, the family you choose shows you everything you deserve. When Tyler's father stood to give his speech, he raised his glass toward me first. "To the daughter who found us when we didn't even know we were looking," he said, his voice breaking. "Your strength has made our son happier than we've ever seen him." In that moment, watching the sunset paint everything gold, I realized something profound. Absence can be a gift when what's missing is the weight that once held you down.